Hello everybody, welcome to another Valheim video. We have another mod showcase to go through. Here are 20 more Valheim mod creators active right now. We'll be checking out some stuff by Zolantris, Rusty Mods, Shawesome, Warpalicious, Zendragon, Advize, Southsil, Jotunn themselves, Nwesterhausen, Xtavim, ASharpPen, Marlthon, Meldurson, Tristan, Aeehyehssreeper, Yggdrah, Coemt, Neobotics, Digitalsoftware, and Nbusseneau. And as always, if there's somebody I haven't covered yet, then just comment below, let me know. Most of the people in this video are from people reaching out to me and telling me about the mods that they love. Before we get started, I want to make sure you know that it's very easy to install mods on the PC these days. Gone are the days where you have to go click on something, download it, and then figure out where the files go and learn about all of that. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Just use R2Modman, and then it's super simple. You can just browse all of the mods that are available on Thunderstore, and then you click and you download with dependencies, boom, it's now installed. Look at that. And then we just click Start Modded. It's that easy. To be honest, this tool makes it too easy to install mods. You can just pick one mod and try it out. Sometimes that's all people need to have a really enjoyable experience again. So let's get to it. We'll start off with Zolantris, who has taken over the Valheim Raft project. We can see that they credit the original owner, Sarsen. Imagine the Valheim base building mechanics, except combined with a ship. Check out this video by Jelly Jam Boy. I'll put a link in the description for you, but they do a great job of showing exactly how the mod works. And the video's from 2 years ago, but don't worry about it. Moving on, we have Rusty Mods. Rusty has loads of really cool mods. Some of the ones that I've heard good things about, personally, are buildable nature, which makes some of the items that are already in the game into buildable pieces. People really like that kind of stuff. And then there's also the bestiary, which has a bunch of different creatures you can add into the game, right? Oh, this reminds me of the Balverines from Fable. I love Fable. Really a whole new world for you to explore with Rusty's mods. Next up, we have Shawesome. Shawesome has some mods that add new items and stuff into the game. As an example, you can check out their Divine Armaments, which was actually featured on Dakar's YouTube channel around a year ago. This video shows off what some of the things look like. There you go. And they got some help from Meldurson, who's also in this video later on. If you like these kind of really over-the-top visual overhauls that are super epic with lots of effects, then Shawesome's where you want to be. Next, we have Warpalicious. Warpalicious's mods primarily focus on adding new custom points of interest or locations to the world. For example, this one here, More World Locations, AIO, adds 119 new points of interest, with various different features at each one. You can learn more about the mechanics and systems. There's a lot of great documentation here. And that's not the only thing I want to feature that Warp's done. Something really recently, which I've been enjoying, is this Discord screenshots mod. For example, as you can see here, Teensy is one of the players on the Path of Magic server who uses this mod. And she died, and there seems to be a clue as to what got her right here. It's a cool mod, and I recommend checking it out, especially if you already use Discord chat and that kind of thing. Moving on to Zendragon. Zendragon has lots of overhauls and changes to quality of life stuff to make your Valheim experience more smooth. And I had a couple people tell me that they can't live without their Zendragon mods. So Zendragon seems to be quite loved. I'm also a sucker for anyone who has some kind of consistency in their thumbnails for some reason. Maybe that's the YouTuber deep within me. And as you can see, all of these mods have been updated within a couple of weeks. That's crazy. That's really, really unusual. So hats off to Zendragon. Next, we have Advize. Advize has a couple really well-known planting mods, such as Plant Everything. I'll just talk about this one for a little bit, because I haven't talked about it before. Plant Everything allows you to use the cultivator. It can plant blueberry bushes, raspberry bushes, etc., etc. Builders absolutely love this mod. So you may as well just let them use it, to be honest. I understand that it may be a little bit game progression breaking for some people, but honestly, they get so much joy out of it. After all, is it really the end of the world if people can make a couple raspberry or blueberry bushes? I don't think so. Advize also has some other nature-themed things, such as revises to the farming system so it's easier, and also making stumps regrow automatically. Next we have Southsil. This mod adds loads of new armor sets. You can also customize the materials they cost to some degree. And I respect the fact that they are interested in adding to the vanilla gameplay experience, not replacing it. Those kind of mods, from my experience, tend to be more enjoyable. Now, I can't really go much further without mentioning Jotunn. Honestly, I should have talked a little bit about Jotunn before, because it's actually one of the backbones to a lot of the mods and the mod creators that I've shown you so far. Jotunn is a Valheim library that makes it easier to make mods yourself. So a lot of the mods that you've seen actually use Jotunn, and that's why I want to point it out. A lot of the mods are possible because of Jotunn. So hats off to Yules and Margmus, who maintain the Jotunn project, and anyone else I may have forgotten, I apologize. But for now, let's move on. And next we have Nwesterhausen. Nwesterhausen has the Discord connector mods, which are really awesome. They make it so the in-game chat that's happening on the server gets pushed out to Discord. I use it on Path of Magic, for example, to create this story that says what all the players are doing. So we can see here, Ken was carting in the meadows, and then Leftaf was building in the mountain, and Teensy was carting a long way in the plains. I really love it, and it helps add a whole new kind of story element to the server, where people can see from their phones what's happening inside the Valheim world. I find that it makes the world more immersive and interactive. So mad respect to these kind of mods, they are really, really useful. Moving on to Xtavim. Xtavim is, from what I can tell, a new modder, and I figured I'd throw it in because the mods look pretty cool. I thought this one about the crossbows was better because I actually really like using the crossbows in Valheim, but there are a lot of weird little quirks with it. Like, it's loading right now, but I don't have any bolts, so what was it loading, right? If we do get some bolts and fire, that loading speed doesn't seem to change even when you get more skilled. So I can see why someone might want to rework the crossbows a bit. I tend to focus on more seasoned people or people who've been modding for a while, so I figured I'd throw someone who's been new into the game out here. See how that goes. Moving on, we have ASharpPen. ASharpPen has some customization mods that people find particularly useful. Spawn That allows you to more easily adjust the spawners for monsters and stuff that exist in Valheim. So you can change the rates that mobs spawn, the kinds of places and biomes the mobs show up. There's also a custom raids mod they've done, and this allows you to set up your own custom raid events using stuff that's already in the game. Great stuff. And next we have Marlthon. Marlthon has some very unique mods because they allow you to add buildings to Valheim without adding a whole bunch of instances. So if we look at this Medieval Heim mod, we can see that it adds up to 120 different variations of 45 prefabricated buildings. This is actually quite useful because you can't actually make a town that's used by players in Vanilla Valheim because of the way the build pieces are all calculated. It becomes an absolute laggy mess, unfortunately. So towns are notoriously some of the most laggy Valheim experiences Valheim has to offer, which is probably why something like this was developed in the first place. An entirely prefabbed building would mean that that building itself is one instance instead of its thousands of individual parts. This will come with some caveats, right? You won't be able to take these buildings apart. There are going to be some other kind of limitations with them. But visually, it could definitely make for a town-looking experience that has better performance. And Marlthon has loads of other really cool mods. Definitely a modder you could just sink your teeth into and try a couple different things out. And that's what's so cool about modded Valheim. Really, there's so many different ways to play that it's an infinite, never-ending game in that sense. So hats off to Marlthon because they got a lot of really cool, unique stuff here. Next we have Meldurson, who has the Taming Overhaul mod, Mount Up Restored, and Portable Pals. These are all along a similar theme, so let's just check out Taming Overhaul, okay? If you've been interested in the taming system in Valheim, you like taming boars and wolves and locks, well, this is the mod for you. All Tamables allows you to tame and customize all sorts of different things. It's actually an overhaul of the original one from Buzz. As you can see here, this is the older mod. You know, that's something that's so cool about the Valheim community. At this point, there's a couple projects that have been put down by one person, but are so loved that someone else picks them up and keeps running with them. Better Continents was picked up by Yer, Raft was picked up by Zolantris. It really is sort of the ultimate compliment when the community is so into your mod that when you stop, they keep on developing it. Like, that's some deep stuff right there. And their other mods are related to it, right? Allowing you to mount. And then there's also this Portable Pals mod here that allows you to take your tamed monsters kind of with you in an inventory spot here. Moving on, we have Tristan. Tristan has a couple of quality of life mods, specifically for server management. For example, you can get more player activity in your logs, which is really useful to figure out like what people are doing, if they're misbehaving, etc., etc. There's also a way for you to schedule server restarts, and then we have Valheim PVP tweaks. If you're into Valheim PVP, then you've probably noticed that the game itself really isn't made for PvP to be anything more of a amusing novelty. So you need to use mods like this to make things more accessible. But in all honesty, talking about PvP without talking about Arena World seems like I'm doing them wrong. So if you want to actually learn about PvP, definitely check out Arena World Valheim. They have PvP game types. The whole world is made like a PvP matchmaking lobby. So it's not even like normal Valheim. You don't join and then PvP. No, you join and then find a PvP game type to play with other people. Arena World is by far the best PvP server I've ever seen in Valheim. Like, by far. They are super professional and they really know what they're doing. Moving on, we have Aeehyehssreeper. Aeehyehssreeper has added some more armors to the game, and you get to pick whether you want the low-res version or the normal version. They're both quite popular. And then also some sound effects that make it more clunky. I like that, you know, it makes it feel like you're wearing plate. And some adjustments to the character model of the males to make them a little bit more slim. Some more armor and another two-handed sword. Moving on, we have Yggdrah, who specializes in mounts. I would say Yggdrah is probably the modding mount master. You got better riding, right? Which overhauls the mount system in Valheim, which is currently quite lacking. At least I would say players use mounts cosmetically. They're not really that useful, but I could see why someone would want to overhaul it completely. So better riding looks like it's done that. They've even added flying there, right? But not just that, you also have hogs you can add. You can add dragons, horses, better Loxen, dire wolves. I've heard great things about this better riding mod. So if you like the idea of having a better mount system in Valheim, or you want to learn more about it, then I encourage you to check it out. Better riding in particular gives attacks and flying, all sorts of crazy stuff. Moving on, we have Coemt. Coemt has a couple kind of server group management stuff, as you can see. You can change the global key situation. This means you can stop goblins from spawning in the meadows when a certain player has killed Yggdrah or something like that. And they've also recently added this Days of Our Lives one here, which makes it so a boss altar can't be used until a certain day has passed, which is an interesting way to limit the experience. Quite cool. And then they have Easy Boss Config, which allows you to adjust what the bosses drop. It's cool, good stuff. Moving on, we have Neobotics. In particular, I thought this Val Quake one was very interesting. It actually adds earthquakes to Valheim, and not just like visually, they actually cause different things to happen. As you can see, you can make it so the earthquakes make the creatures run away, or staggers them if the players are there. You can even make it so that the pieces get destroyed. if you're really committed to the earthquake. Quite unique. And then they also have this Ruins Maker mod. And I can tell this is something some of you builders would really appreciate, because there's a problem in vanilla Valheim where ruined pieces have this look, but if you repair them to full health, they lose the ruined look. So this mod allows you to get that ruined look by adding it more easily so that you won't lose it when you repair it. Pretty cool stuff. Neobotics is one of those people who has loads of different mods, so if you like their mods, it's a whole new world for you to check out. Moving on, we have Zarkov Turret Defense. Now I hear you already, that's so not Valheim, and you know what? Maybe you're right. But I know a good thing when I see it, and the way people have talked to me about this, they have shown their love and affection for it. So yes, it may be crazy sci-fi, but it must do something right, because the people who like it really like it. Zarkov Turret Defense adds a whole bunch of different buildable turrets that I can see act as item sinks and allow you to customize your base building experience more. Quite interesting. An interesting take on dealing with the raid system, right? Because you could probably deal with a troll pretty easily if you can make a repeating blaster, right? And you know what? If you're into tower defense games, why not try making Valheim base building into a tower defense game? It turns every raid into that moment. There you go. Moving on, we have Nbusseneau. I think that's French. I'm not sure. I'm sorry I can't pronounce it. They've got some really interesting mods. In particular, these are things that I've heard people talk about. Also, I love the thumbnails. Great work. First, let's look at this fuel daylight savings. Have you ever noticed in Valheim how the fires just run all day long? And I mean, considering you have to fill them up with fuel, that's kind of inconvenient because you don't need the light. And also, that light costs performance, but you don't need it, so is it really necessary? Well, with fuel daylight savings, you don't need to worry about it. It makes it so stuff turns on at a certain time, and there's some configuration settings that you're free to adjust. And then of course, we have to look at the better cartography table mod. The vanilla cartography table has some basic functionality. It shares the entire map with everyone who clicks on it and all of the pins. But that's about it. This is a rework of the cartography table, and you can learn more about it here. It's an interesting mod, and I've heard good things about it, although I haven't tried it myself. And there we have it. Are there any mod creators that I haven't mentioned that you'd like me to showcase? Or that you just really enjoy? Well, comment below, let me know. I learned about most of the mods in this video from people commenting and reaching out to me and telling me about their experiences and their favorite mods. I really want to help more of the community access these mods. It's not about the best or the worst or anything like that. It's about giving people access to the mods that they're hesitant to use. You with me? And if you want to support my work, consider renting your own dedicated Valheim BepInEx server that you can install all of these mods on real easy. All you'd have to do is find your plugin files and drop them onto the plugins folder on your server, and then also have them on your client, and then boom, you're good to go. You got modded Valheim and you can invite your friends. Just use my link jpvalheim at zaphosting.com to set up that. Alternatively, you could just like this video or any other video about Valheim, and that'll tell YouTube to dish out more Valheim content for you. That's it for now, everybody. I hope that you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye!